loves her mama, loves Jesus. America too. Good girl. She's crazy about Elvis, loves horses, and her boyfriend too. Now yeah. It's a long day living in a cedar. There's a freeway running through the yard, and I'm a bad boy, 'cause I don't even miss her. I'm a bad boy for breaking her heart, and I'm free. Free falling. I'm free. Free falling. All the vampires walking through the valley, they move west down Bencher Boulevard. And all the bad boys standing in the shadows, all the good girls alone with broken hearts, and I'm free. Free, 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 yes, I'm free. Free falling. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening from. This is JP. Welcome to LoopLab Mondays. Thought I'd start with a bit of Tom Petty. Let me know what it sounds like. Let me know if it's too loud, if it's just right, or if it's not sweet enough. Say hello in the chat. I wanna glide down over Mulholland. I wanna write her name in the sky. I'm gonna free fall down into nothing. I'm gonna leave this world for a while, 'cause I'm free. Free falling. 'Cause I'm free. Free falling, falling. So free, yeah. Free falling. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening from. This is JP. Just grabbing the mouse because I have to use it over here. Hi, welcome to LoopLab Mondays. And hi. Hope you're doing well. This is a LoopLab Mondays. How's it going, everyone? In the chart, Sam. Hi, how we doing? Can't wait, they said, to begin with. It's nice. Matt Smith, how we doing? Good evening. That was all fun and games. That song is cool. Thanks. Yeah, we're going to do LoopLab Mondays, and LoopLab Mondays is all about basically sort of breaking down looping in its rawest form and just doing a little bit of fun with it. By using this guitar, I've just realised, I've got a guitar here. Sorry, I've got a guitar here, but it's a bit empty here, isn't it? Just put up these new hangers. And I've got a couple of things to say this week. So first of all, this live stream is sponsored. It is sponsored by our friends at DistroKid, hence the T-shirt. DistroKid is a music distribution company, but you can actually release as much music as you want to for one price per year. And that price is basically starts at $22.99, but with the link that's in the description, and it's just gone into the chat as well, scan that QR code or click the link, and you'll get it for 7% off your first annual membership. I'm with the next tier up, which is called Musicians Plus, which is $39.99, and you can get 7% off any of the tiers, no matter which one you join. The reason I'm with that is because we released between myself as John Paul and me and my mate Greg, we are Tokyo Wasteland. We're currently making a track at the moment. I've got a couple of videos about that, about the way we're doing the track slightly differently. But yeah, have a look at that. The other thing as well is this is obviously sponsored by DistroKid, so thank you very much to them for doing this, and that's lovely of them. The other thing as well that I want to highlight is a friend of mine, a YouTube friend of mine. Oh, that just went and came out. That was weird. Click. There we go. So a YouTube friend of mine who is a fantastic loop artist by the name of David Shannon. And David Shannon is currently doing, he's going to do in about 2 weeks' time, a loop masterclass. And this is the QR code for that. It's $67. We've had a couple of questions about it, and I've got some answers, which is, what if I can't make it because of the time difference? Well, what's going to happen is you'll have a link to the whole thing. Of course, if you're live, you may be able to answer, obviously, questions there as well. But if you can't make it, then you still get access to the entire masterclass. And David is working incredibly hard to make this happen. So I want to help him out throughout August. So that QR code, again, it's gone in the chat as well. Give him a shout. Give him a subscribe as well. Fantastic guy. So there we go. So that's David's course. And also, a massive thank you. For those who follow the channel, you may or may not be aware, we went over 20,000 subscribers. 20,000 subscribers literally on Thursday just gone. So a massive thank you to every single subscriber. Subscriber 7,453, thank you. Subscriber 1, thank you. Dad. Subscriber everyone, every single person who's been able to bring that up. And I'm so humbled by it. Someone said to me, imagine taking all 20,000 and putting them in a stadium. I was like, what? That's crazy. So I just want to thank you about that. It's really, really, it's really humbling, and it's really inspiring me to do more. So we've got a couple of things that are coming to the channel soon. I just wanted to obviously say that, and so I say a couple of things. That's all good. For those of you who obviously are using things like pedal boards and RC600s and things like that, and loopers and everything else, the number one problem we have at the moment, thank you very much, Mr. Wynn's in the house. If you haven't subscribed to Mr. Wynn, he is at the very beginning of his YouTube journey. He's doing really well. Local lad does good. Go and subscribe to John Wynn right now. So yeah, and obviously he's doing some amazing stuff with the RC600 as well. And looping in general. If you like a bit of funk, me and John Wynn's your man. We did a great interview. It was really funny as well. From the How Do You Loop series. So there we go. Wonderful. Oh, that's really nice. Thank you. The advice from last week about using the loop pedal as a beat when it's just sitting there doing nothing. Yeah, of course, absolutely. If it's just sitting there and you're doing that, it means you literally just put a 4/4 beat down, a thud, and that adds it on. It's really, really good. So there we go. So, click. I'm clicking the wrong things from like 4 meters away from my screen. Thank you very much. That's awesome. Thank you very much. It's weird. It's a weird thing, right? It's a weird thing to say. Thanks for subscribing. But yeah, thank you very much. And for those who think, you think, I know someone who would love this channel, then get them on it as well, and let's get to the 100,000 subscribers. Only 80,000 more to go. Anyway, moving on. This is LoopLab Mondays. And then what we do on LoopLab Mondays is we answer your questions about looping. Maybe you're too afraid to ask people, or you've been searching, and all these different people who are doing looping and all amazing at it. With LoopLab, what we're looking to do with LoopLab Mondays is answer questions you're too afraid to ask. But also, if you're having maybe thoughts about performance, how do you do the performance, about problems you may have incurred, like the timing and things like that. Obviously, we're always going to talk about timing. That's a fundamental thing of looping. But if you've got a question, pop it in the chat, and let's talk about it. Let's have an open discussion about looping. This is what LoopLab Mondays is all about. Now, I need a little shelf like there. I've got one holding the amp down there. I needed a second one just to go boop. So for those who are not familiar with my setup, I'm going to take you through it. So let's switch the cameras over. There we go. So this is the big red thing is the RC600. There's a 6-track looper. And then the black one underneath is the TC Helicon Voice Live Play Acoustic. Then you've got on the right of that this little brown volume pedal here, which is this one. That is the Vespress, which is really nice. And then you've got the FS7 pedal that goes memory up, memory down. And then on this side, we've got a pedal here that's like green. You've got 2 green. Well, I've got 1 green. I haven't turned the other one on yet. I've got 1 green little light there. That's my wireless connections for my guitar. And then this is a switcher to switch between the guitars. So when it's red, we're using the red guitar. And when it's green, we're using the green guitar. It's really, really useful. I didn't program it like that. It just happened to be like that, which is really handy. For those of you who are using things like the RC600 and a load of pedals, this pedal board is called the Nux, NUX, Nux Bumblebee. Love that straight away from Transformers. And some people have the RC600 on the bottom with some spacers. Some people have it on the top. I like it on the top. So it's basically, that's a good shout actually. Sam's just shouted it out, I like this. Who here, it's not an RC600 club, we're talking about looping in general, but just put your name in the chat if you've got one. For those who do have any kind of pedal board whatsoever with a loop pedal, for the very astute of you, if you look around the outside and the edges, that is an XLR cable. Do you notice there's no other cables around, including a power cable? I've got a video coming soon telling you all about that. This is being completely powered without a plug. I've been testing it, and I'm very, very happy with it. Yes, it's completely powered without a plug. That's all I'm going to tell you at the moment. I'm not going to reveal what it is yet. It'll come out on a video, possibly. It should be next week. And it's been brilliant. It's been the answer I've wanted for about a year with this pedal board. Yeah, we'll get into that later. So there we go. Oh, cool. There we go. So yes, we've got one, and we've done 17 gigs with it in August alone. Hang on. It's for 14th. Are you doing more than 1 gig a day? That's awesome. Fantastic. So the question is, of course, basically, people use this thing in lots of different ways, and we don't just have to talk about the 600. Talk about the 500. We could talk about the headrest looper board. We could talk about the Boomerang. We could talk about Loopy Pro. You could talk about anything you want to. But obviously, I like to sort of like discuss how I do stuff. I'm not saying you should do it that way, but I like to show you this is how I do it. Take that, be a sponge. If you want to use that, then use it. Use the tricks of the trade, as it were. I've been looping a long time. I've been looping. We worked it out the other day. It was just shy of 18 years. So we've been using it obviously a lot. Love this. Question for the Gigcaster 8. Ooh, nice. Question for the Gigcaster 8. So go on then. Why did that cut it off? That was a bit weird. Hang on. Boop. Loving the vlog. Question about the Gigcaster 8 you reviewed. Can it multi-track? So yes, is basically in the sense of recording multi-track, yes. In its current state, and I say in its current state with a meaning, because at the moment the playback will play it back in its entirety, no problem at all. But it plays it back as almost like a CD player. To get all the tracks, what you can do is when you get it out the box, by default, the SD card is set to record into like a stereo, just a stereo file. And then what you can do is with the Gigcaster is you can then turn it in the settings, you can change it to record every single track separately. Sam's now asking, what is the Gigcaster 8? It's a mixer that's made by Boss, which is very, very new. And you can record, you can live stream, you can record, live stream, plug multiple things at the same time, and you can even go battery powered if you want to. And it's kind of Boss's answer to think of it like, you've got like podcasting stuff, and that's all fine. There's a lot of mixes that have come out but they're all very podcast orientated. This is a Gigcaster. So it's got loads of effects inside. So it's got the effects from the VE range for vocals, and it's got the effects from the GT range for guitar as well. There's a Gigcaster 5 and the Gigcaster 8. So the 5 has basically 5 tracks. This one has 8 tracks. And when we say tracks, it's basically being able to record different things. And there's 6 total inputs. So you've got 4 inputs of XLR and mic, whichever one you want, it doesn't matter. And there's an AUX input as well. But then there's also an input for Bluetooth. There's also an input for the computer. There's also an input there's pads on the 8, and you can trigger those pads with sounds, or you can actually use the pads to trigger MIDI CC numbers as well. And then it has an SD card. The problem when you do a live stream is if you want to pull the audio from that live stream, sometimes the sound's compressed because maybe you didn't have a great signal. Whereas what the Gigcaster does, you put everything into the Gigcaster, plug the Gigcaster into your computer or your phone, and then what you can do is you can hit record on the Gigcaster, and you're getting everything in 32-bit glorious quality. So therefore, you could then pull it later, which is really, really clever. It's really cool. And we've got a couple more videos coming your way regarding the Gigcaster as well. So we're going to get into, there's a video we're doing, it's coming soon, which is basically about once you've done a gig with the Gigcaster, what can you do with the stuff that's on that SD card? And also, what can you do with the Gigcaster with the PC and Mac software? So that's coming soon, and that is basically it's a powerhouse. If you play with it properly, you can plug it in and then you can add it into your DAW. It's really, really clever. So it's fun and games. Right. Okay. Cool. Also, JP, did you do any tramline gigs in pubs and that? Oh yeah, I do gigs in pubs all the time. That's my bag. So what I do is I play a 2-hour. I used to play 2 45 minutes, and I'll play a 2-hour slot back to back. I do not stop for 2 hours. And the reason behind that is because I always found that after the first one, people go, "Hey, should we go to another pub?" And then if you play for 2 hours, they stay, which is quite good. Also, you can get more songs in. So there we go. So totally dependent on obviously what you play, and also whether you play a keyboard, whether you play saxophone, whether you play whatever. So it depends on what you want to do. Did you ever what? What about Tramlines Fringe? I've never played that. But where's that? Let me know where that is, Sam. Right, I want to talk about something. I've just put the mouse down, and now I need it again to change the camera. Totes profesh. So what we're going to do is let's swap this round. I'm going to talk to you about failure. What happens when it all goes wrong? Now, there's a couple of things we can do, and I've put it this way round. I mean, I'm in the corner, down here in the corner, but that doesn't really matter too much. What we're looking at is basically having a look at a looper. Now, don't be disheartened by the fact that I've got an RC600 and you might not, or if you're thinking, oh, I've got a different kind of looper. The basics of looping is the same across the board. And of course, if I do this, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got our loop. 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 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 2. Jungle Book, anyone? But basically what you can do is, that's great, and I can put a loop down that's all good, but what happens if it goes horribly wrong? So go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 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 How long could you listen to that for? 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 Okay, I'll stop that there. You get the idea. So the thing is, obviously, how can we get around that and still look, obviously, like we're doing a professional job when we've messed it up? The fact is, the way around it is kind of a little bit, it's going to cause a little bit of phasing, but what can happen is, obviously, it means that you're going to get the right sound. So with loopers of modern age, then what you can do is with a looper, you can actually, with this thing and with many others, you can actually do an undo. So if I was to record something now, have a look basically over there when I actually press this down. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2. Now mine was set to actually go into overdub straight away. But let's just say I messed this up. So in my head, I've got to listen to this, and it's annoying because it's going at the same time as I'm talking. But let's just say what was messed up. I've got to undo it whilst play at the same time. So you hold your button down. And now it's undone. And now we put the right one in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 1. There we go. 2, sorry. 3, 4, and a 1. Hold down that one. There we go. It's a different profile. There we go. It's back to blue now. We all make mistakes. Shut up. So it totally depends on when you play, when you kick in. And now the other thing as well is we're just going to delete that as well. One thing you'll notice I'll do quite a lot, and you can take this if you want to, it doesn't matter, is when I'm actually putting a loop down, I'll just change the camera again. I really need a solution for this. I'm sure I've got one somewhere, but I need to change this. There we go. Right, let me just go this way. Right, so if I'm actually doing a loop, and I'm kind of going, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, it's not very exciting, and you need a bit of a groove. I really believe that people actually listen to stuff and get the intonations of stuff when there's a little bit more of a groove as opposed to just a fancy metronome. Okay, so you wouldn't normally play your chords like that. You wouldn't go. There may be 1 or 2 songs that are like that, but it depends on the song. But the thing is, you might, even if there was a guitar playing like that, you may want, or you might want. So obviously accenting like the rhythmic can make a massive difference both to your looping style, but also to make sure you've got the timing in, but also just for the playability, just so it sounds nicer. So instead of, if you listen to drummers very, very carefully, when they're playing the hi-hats, they don't go and it's exactly the same every time. They go so there's a bit where it rises and it falls. Hi Ed, and a bit you've missed nothing. And basically, I reckon it is. And it depends on basically whether you've got that rise and fall, and you get that intonation. So if I didn't want to actually strum something, but I wanted to start something, just go. That's a lot more interesting. I actually find it harder. I was just trying to do it then. I find it harder to go and keep it in time, whereas it's more like you're singing a rhythm, you know. I know I look stupid doing it, but hey, it's one of those things where you get a better rhythm, and then therefore that's it, that's your loop down, and then of course you can play over the top of it. Now I get a lot of questions about, obviously you always put a loop down first, which is a rhythmic loop. What about actually if you just want to start playing? And I did that at the very beginning with Free Falling, so I kind of... Now, when you're doing that, of course, it's just 3 chords all the way through, which is nice and easy for looping. But then also what you need to do as well is make sure that you're actually tapping your foot at the same time. So I'm going to just change the camera yet again. So if anyone wants to buy me a little sort of like, little mouse desk that just goes there, that'd be quite cool. So I'm going to put my foot really, really close, just kind of just going. I could start singing there. She's a good girl, loves her mama, loves Jesus, and America too. She's a good girl, crazy about Elvis, loves horses, and a boyfriend too. Yeah. And that way the loop is actually coming in, obviously, throughout the song, as opposed to putting everything down and then... Sam, I will. And that way, basically, when you put the loop down, you're playing the beginning of the song already. You're not putting 4 minutes worth of loops down before you start singing the first verse. Right. Okay. Well, do you know what? Since it's a request, let's do that. Let's do what I normally do. Now, I'm just going to change guitars. So when I do an Ed Sheeran cover, this is where YouTube and Facebook are like, take it down. You can't pay for that. First of all, I use this guitar, which is in DADGAD. So DADGAD, for those who are interested. You don't have to follow that at all. It's just what I like to play with. And I just need to turn on this one thing. For those that are interested, these little things that are flashing in the corner here, they're the Lakato UHF transmitters that I did a little video on. They're brilliant. I did 3 gigs and didn't charge them once. So like 2 hours ago, so that's like 6 hours. And it still had a little bit left as well. Right. So this is for Sam. And just to show you basically what I do, I merge 3 songs together. Mainly because it's really incredibly easy to do so. Will you watch me mess it up now? Got to make sure I've actually got the guitar selected. That'd be good. So I'm on green at the moment. Need to be on red. 1, 2. Sorry about that. Little technical problem there. best place to find a lover, so the bar is where I go. Me and my friends at the tables doing shots, drinking fast and then we talk slow. Come over and start up a conversation with just me, and trust me, I'll give it a chance. Now take my hands, stop, bend the man in the jukebox, and then we start to dance. Thinking that girl I know, I want your love is handmade for somebody like me. Come on now, follow my lead. I might be crazy, don't mind me. Say, boy, let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put your body on me. Come on now, follow my lead. Come on now, follow my lead. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm in love with the shape of you. Push and pull like a magnet do, and the heart is falling through. I'm in love with your body, yeah. Last night you were in my room, and the bed sheets smell like you. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with your body, oh why, oh why, oh why, oh why. Said oh why, oh why, oh why, oh why. Said oh why, oh why, oh why, oh why. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of met this girl late yesterday. Don't you worry if I disappear. I'm not really looking for another mistake. I told her old friend thinking that the trouble would wait, and then I jumped right in a week later returned. She was only looking for a lover to burn, but I gave her my time, 2 million nights, put it on hold when the moment was wet. I went away for months until our paths crossed again. I told her I was never looking for a friend. We're gonna room around 10. Maybe bring the bomb and a bottle of gin in between the sheets till late a.m. If we wanted it, I should have said she's singing. Don't send my love, the heart is so cold. You ain't me, no, I don't wanna know that, babe. Don't with my love, I told her she knows. Take aim and reload, I don't wanna know that, babe. Johnny, get down, good lord. Baby, got it all over town. Strictly bitch, don't play around. Get a punch down, get paid for the pound. Being paid is a forte, each and every way. True play away, I can't get her off my mind. Whoa, I think about the girl all the time. Whoa, whoa. East side to the west side, push the bad vibes, ain't no surprise. That bitch in the dash, gotta get the cash. That's when it burns in the gas. Done no means average. She on it, gotta have it. Baby, you're a perfect 10. Gotta get in, gotta get down so I can win. Like the way you work it. Like the way you work it. The way you work it, don't dig it. Bang it up, yeah. The way you work it, don't dig it. Bang it up, yeah. The way you work it, don't dig it. Bang it up, yeah. The way you work it, no diggity. Bang it up, yeah. The way you work it, no diggity. Bang it up, yeah. Like the way you work it, no diggity. Got the bag and bang it up, yeah. Like the way you work it, no diggity. Like the bag and bang it up, yeah. Like the way you work it, no diggity. Like the bag and bang it up, yeah. Like the way you work it, no diggity. Bang it up, yeah. I'm in love with the shape of you. You push and pull like a magnet do. Oh, my heart is falling through. I'm in love with your body, yeah. Last night you were in my room, and your bed sheets smell like you. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with your body, oh I, oh I, oh I, oh I. Oh I, oh I, oh I, oh I. Oh I, oh I, oh I, oh I. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of you. So there you go. So that is how I do Shape of You mixed in with Don't, and then mixed in with No Diggity. It's a good floor filler, that one. It's good for fun. It's good fun. It's knackering, but it's fun. Now the thing is with that, you can do it lots of different ways, but I actually do it in a couple of different ways where I use a couple of different effects. So of course we start off with, that's it. It's like boom boom that's it. That's the whole beat all the way through. And then I actually use track 2. Oh, I've just realised you can't see what I'm doing. Hang on. There we go. So there you go. Track 1. Nice and simple. And then track 2 is actually the bass. I've just undone the no diggity bit. So it starts with the bass, and that's the bass I've got up here. This is the G to B going through my vocals at 70% on mode number 2. And then we've got... So people think I'm actually going to do Don't at the beginning, and then I drop in, of course, Shape of You. And it's quite nice to add that bit on. And then we've got No Diggity at the end, and what I do is on track 2, you heard obviously. When you work it, no diggity. Banging up dead next to when you work it, no diggity. Banging up dead. So when you add them all in, of course, it's like one massive thing. I'm dead next to when you work it, no diggity. Banging up dead next to when you work it, no diggity. Sometimes I won't even go like the way you work that. I'll just go, no diggity, bag it up you. No diggity, bag it up you. And that's it. Like, and obviously I'll sing the rest of it. But it gives enough space in the song to obviously sort of like still have the guitar in there. I don't add the guitar too much in there or overdub it too much because it just goes nuts. And then, yeah, just being able to play it through. And that's it. That was all good. Pierce is in the house. How are we doing, Pierce? Presumably you can mash up a lot of Ed Sheeran stuff with more of his stuff because he really uses more than the same chords. Yes, he does. Yeah. And you can. There's a lot of things you can mash up. Not really a dig at. Not a dig at him. No, it's fair enough. Not a diggity him. Oh, God. That was really bad. Moving swiftly on. This live stream is sponsored. It's sponsored by our friends over at DistroKid. DistroKid are a music distribution company where you can give your songs to them and they'll push them out to all the online stores and digital streaming sites around the world, of which there are lots. Now, obviously, if you go with other companies, they'll charge you per release. With DistroKid, what they do is they charge you one price per year, which starts at $22.99. But we have a code that's on the screen. It's also in the description box below on both Facebook and YouTube. If you're in Facebook, though, hi, welcome. And then if you click the link, click the link, or scan the QR code, then that'll give you 7% off your first annual membership with DistroKid. And thank you to DistroKid for sponsoring this live stream. There's loads that you can do with the older DistroKid. There's lots of different things, including promo cards. You could, if you're a band, you've got splits. So you can split the money kind of like 4 ways if there's 8 of you. Joking. And there's loads of different things you can do as well. You can even release covers if you want to. You have to pay for the license monthly. So, of course, there is that involved as well. So thank you, DistroKid, for sponsoring our live stream. That's lovely of you. And then the other thing, of course, that we are promoting through the month of August is my friend David Shannon is doing a loop masterclass, taking you through looping. So scan that QR code, or that's just gone in both the chats as well, and then have a wonderful time with David at the end of August. It is $67 US, and if you can't make the live stream, as it were, then you will get the video of it in its entirety. He will send and email you the link, so you can watch it at your leisure. Obviously, it's great to be there live, but I just want to help David out for the month of October. October? No, the month of August. Let's get that right. Don't try and join in October. Well, you might do another one, I don't know. But certainly for the one in August, go for that one. And then, obviously, thank you very much to David, obviously, as well. So, there we go. Obviously, I do my own courses. If you want to check them out, go to johnpaulmusic.co.uk. And, of course, I'm actually going to put this one, if I haven't put this one in ages, Ask Me Anything. Do it. Ask me anything. Anything you want. It doesn't have to be about looping. Ask me anything. We'll have a good old chin wag. Right then, so let's go back over the chat. What's going on over there? Piers is doing okay. Piers is doing okay. Good. Good, I'm glad. I'm glad you're doing okay. It's all good. All love in the house. Question. Do you always use voice beatbox guitar scratchy to create the beat? Or do you also use the drum machine drum loops as well? I do. I use the drum machine drum loops as well. Let me showcase that for you. So give me 1 second and let me just move over to a different program that I have. There we go. So let me get rid of the Ask Me Anything thing, because it's in the way, isn't it, really? Let's just get rid of that. So I said in last week's live stream, I do a video on this, and I've just realized as well that the I'm just put my foot in front of there. If you can hear me, that's grand, but I've just realised that it's flashing like crazy. The actual video, the camera is, there we go, that was very delayed. The camera is actually a little bit delayed, so I apologise about that. Give me one sec. So this song is Señorito by Justin Timberlake, and I actually use the beat in this as well. Now, I actually use the FS7 pedal to just go up and down the memories. It's as simple as that. So you'll see me do that now. And then I've actually got two different parts of this, but I do use the beat as well. So what I've done is on mode number 2, which is the red mode, the pedal 8, which is normally undo redo, that is now for me. I think it's catching up with itself, hopefully. There we go. I'm putting my foot out again. Yeah, not too bad. Pedal 8 is not undo redo. You can see it's flashing away there. That is actually the rhythm start-stop. So, now I'm going to stop that really quickly, mainly because basically that's really loud in this room. So just give me one sec. That's fine. Right, okay, cool. One sec. So as you can see, I'm moving around, but the actual video for the top-down camera has decided to stop. I don't know why. Give me a minute and I'm going to sort it out. There we go. Is it working again now? Is it happy? No, it's not happy. Oh, I've really upset it now. There we go. Right. Hi. Give me a second. We'll get this sorted. Right then. Let's give it a sec. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that to sort itself out, because I don't really have any control over that, I don't have a 4-meter USB cable that I can make it go over to it. So while I do this, look like I'm texting, whilst we sort this out, yes, so I do use the beat on it, but I normally use it towards the end of the set. So I use it basically when, there we go. There we go, hopefully it's happy now. Yeah, I use it towards the end of the set, mainly to give it a bit more oomph, really. So doing a sort of beatboxy, blah, blah, blah. There we go, so. I know it turned off, there we go. Ignore that, it's cool. What was that? Guitar signal turned off. Yeah, I know, just a little bit of a problem. So yeah, so basically with the beat, I do use that obviously for certain songs, absolutely. And it's worth actually figuring them out. I did a video which is over 2 hours long on YouTube, which is every beat on the RC600. So it's worth a watch if you want to kill 2 hours. But there's loads of variances, and of course there's another video which, if you can't find the beat you want, you can actually put your own in with the RC600. You can it accepts SMF files, so you can put your own version in if you want to, which is really, really good. Question from Sam. Question: can you show me the exact setting you have when you use the same microphone, but you have the recording mic muted, but have the lead mic on the RC600? Well, this is it's going to shock you. I don't mute the mic. I never mute the mic. What I do instead is when I'm recording something, so. What you'll notice as well is it's a different volume. So I've actually got the loop level set to 95. Now, for some reason for the RC600, it goes up to 200. I don't know why, but it does. But the loop level is actually set to 95. And I've set the loop level of the actual, the volume expression pedal, the volume pedal. That is, when I push that all the way to the top, that's at 95 as well. And my voice and my guitar are at 100 out of 200. So they're never louder than me. So it always sounds like it's like a step back a little bit. And I have another video and showing you how I do that. So I don't ever actually mute the mic. And the reason because of that is because my mic is going into the TC Helicon. And then from the TC Helicon, we go into the looper. So of course, if I just don't, let's just say, this never happens. But let's just say I don't want to use the looper at all. And we're just going to change guitars. You know, I told you about these amazing wireless controllers. Guess what I didn't charge up last night? It's fine. We'll go over to Lucky Lime instead. Lucky Lime's just sitting there ready to go. So let's just say I obviously want to do this. I just want to... what are we playing? Now the thing with the TC Helicon as well, it has things like de-essing, it has EQ on your voice. So it sounds really nice anyway. And then we put it into the RC600. And then there's loads of different things. Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw back to you. By now, you should have somehow realized what you've gotta do. I don't believe that anybody is the way I do about you now. Backbeat, the one is on the street that the fire in your heart is out. And I'm sure you've heard it all before, that you never really had a doubt. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads that lead us there are winding. Obviously I won't go on, but the fact is that you can actually grab harmonies and things from the TC Helicon, which obviously play against the sound of the guitar. So if you play a G, it harmonizes automatically. You don't have to program it in that way. It's programmed, as you can see there, for high and low. So that means obviously there's a third up and I think a fourth up or third up and a fourth down. And there's also another one. So there we go. So depends on what you want to do. But yes, I don't actually mute the mic at all because the only time I do mute the mic in the sense of muting it is I can hold down on here. And what it does is it cuts the EQ and stuff off while I tune the guitar or change the guitar. But it doesn't cut the mic off. It just takes the effects off. And I'm going to tap it again. We're back. Oh, and you got a little bit there. So we go. So it depends on what you want to do with it. But yeah, absolutely. What was that? Hang on. What's going on there? That's what's best for Townshend Derby. Sign your name, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. You can have a little bit of harmony and that's about it. Or close enough. So there we go. Technology! Is that when I actually was like, technology is great when it works. Yeah, I know. Fun and games. Wouldn't be a live stream without audio problems. Of course, absolutely. And the funny thing is the audio problems are mainly me. So there we go. What? Wonderwall? I know, yeah. The funny thing is I actually did a thing at a gig and they didn't like it. But I said, and after all, what the is a Wonderwall? And they didn't like that at all. It was quite funny. I like awkward moments like that. It's quite fun. Question time. Question: do you split the mic signal to connect it to the looper and the forward? No, I don't. Okay. When I'm doing like a sort of pub gig, like in the corner battling with the punters, no, there's no point. I just do stereo out straight into the speaker. Done. And actually, funnily enough, it's not stereo out. So the TC Helicon is not stereo out. So the TC Helicon is like mic out and guitar out. And then let me just change the screen again so you can see it. Can you see in the top right-hand corner, I'm not actually plugged into, with the guitar, any jacks. I'm plugged into both XLRs. There's a red and a blue. Put my foot there. There it is. A red and a blue there. They're going into mic 1 and mic 2. So mic 1 is, I think, the guitar, and a mic 2 is the vocal. And then you can probably just see there going out to my speaker, there's 2 plugs that they're just stereo out. That's it. And that's what I do 90% of the time. However, what I will do is if I'm doing like a gig where there's a ticketed event and it's like I've got a sound engineer to mess up my sound, I'm joking, to basically play around the sound, I tell them, I can either do that and go, don't touch it, think of it like a CD player, I don't want any effects, I don't want any of that, I'm doing all the effects, just send me a little bit of sound so I can hear myself. Or what I can do is I can use the multiple outs, and I've done that before, so I've gone, right, here's the looper for the guitar, here's the looper for the vocals, and then here's my guitar and my vocals. And I've done it that way because I can actually send the voice out on one track and then the guitar out on another track, fine. But you can also then send the vocal loops out and the guitar loops out. So then they can EQ it differently, you know, depending on what you want to do, which is quite nice. And you can get a fuller sound because they can put a little bit of things on it, you know. So yes, I can do that depending on what you want to do. Of course, that's because you've got 8 outs, you've got 6 jacks, and you've got the headphone out as well as a stereo. So yeah, you can do lots of different things with it, absolutely. What? Okay, cool. Will you please do, I'm just reading it, sorry, I should have read it out loud. Please do a review of the Gigcaster multi-tracking. This would make me buy one. Be careful when you say the word multi-tracking with the Gigcaster. Are you expecting to record something and then go back and record something else? Because if that's what you're after, the Gigcaster does not do that. What it does, it records all 8 tracks and sums it in at once, or all 8 tracks and keeps it stereo. So it's a live recorder. It's not like a 4-track or an 8-track or something like that. Okay, I don't know if they'll change that in the future, but for now, it certainly doesn't do that. It only records the SD card, and you can pull all 8 tracks and you put them into stems and put them into your DAW if you want to, or you can plug the Gigcaster directly into your DAW, and then you've got multiple inputs for a band or for a shoregain, basically, yeah. So that's that. It won't do it where like you record and you don't need a computer and you can go back and hit another record and another record. I know on the video I did, the second video, it looked like we're doing multiple takes. What I had to do is I had to do those takes, listen to it back and put it in post, so then it looked like there's multiple versions of me. So I don't want to missell anyone on that. I don't want to turn around and say it will record just like an 8-track will. It doesn't. Now, should Boss change that in the future? Who knows? Maybe they will. That'd be cool. It'd be a cool feature if they do. But at the moment, it is for capturing live audio. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that's answered your question. So there we go. Warm in here. Maps, he already has. Yeah, I already have. There we go. The luxury of sound engineer. The luxury of a sound engineer. Oh yeah, absolutely. And the generosity of a performer who can give the engineer so many channels. Sometimes it's harder. Sometimes what they do is they can't. Most sound engineers are lovely and it's fine. And not can't talk. I'm not having a dig at sound engineers. However, there are a couple of times when I've actually done that and they've gone, oh, let's put some delay on this and reverb on that and everything else. And I'm like, I've gone, huh? No, whoa, 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 whoa. Because if I do that,
and I start using this voice for recording in, that's not going to do, it's not going to swing, because this is the TC Helicon, and it's not the looper. So it's coming out of my vocal track, not the looper vocal track.
I hope that all made sense. So yeah, so any effect I'm putting on is coming out of the loop, my vocal track, not the looper vocal track or vocal out. So then if they start putting delays on, I'll end up with sort of. Do you know what I mean? So that wouldn't be very good. Sam said something and I missed it. Sorry, Sam. Thank you for the information. You're welcome. Hi, GP. Can you check my question? No, I'm panicking. Did you ask the question while I was trying to fix things? Hang on a minute. I'm just going back through now. Where's Sam's question? That one. Was it that one? Because I did say to you, I don't mute the mic. So show me the exact settings you have for when you have the same microphone, but you have the recording mic muted. I don't record. I don't mute the mic. Was it that one? I hope that's what it was. Do you want to? It's probably simpler, Sam. It's probably simpler if you retype it because I can't find it. Oh, it's a bloke guitar. I know what they sound like. I've had that before as well. Sam, retype it for me, please. That'd be really handy. Thank you. I'm so sorry I've missed that. Whatever you asked, but I will answer it as soon as you put it up. When you build a long loop with the guitar chords, 16 bars, while also singing over these chords, how do you prevent the vocals from being recorded on the loop? Well, there are ways to do this, and the way you can actually do that is basically a couple of different things. First of all, this specific microphone, I've talked about it before. This is the Fifine K8 microphone. It's £30 in the UK. I have 3 of them because if I bust one, and it sounds great, and it has really good rear rejection. So right now, I haven't done anything. I'm just talking on the other side. Can you imagine the pubs on this side? Can you even hear me right now? Imagine the pubs on the other side. It's got really good rear rejection. That's one thing. The other thing as well, it's actually got a mute switch on it. So I could use that, of course, if you're in the flight of trying to put 16 bars down, you won't want to mess around with a mute switch. So what you can do, if I can just move my camera, there we go. You can do a couple of things. We could use the FS7 pedal and change one of those buttons to mic mute 1. So you could do things like that. We could change one of these 9 buttons to mic mute if you wanted to as well. Or if you've got like the new FS1WL wireless, you could Bluetooth with a Bluetooth adapter. That'll give you 3 buttons, extra buttons, and you could do it that way. So you could change it. So basically you just got a button, a pedal button that you just go bang, and that's mic mute, and you could do it that way. The alternative is I actually have this expression pedal for the volume of the loops. You could have the expression pedal for your microphone. So you just pull it down, and then, of course, when you're playing away, and then that microphone's not being inputted, and then, of course, you bring it back. The downside is if you hit it by accident, and then that way you're in trouble. But there's a couple of different ways you can do that. So if you go and look at my, your homework, should you choose to accept it, is if you go and have a look at my RC600 customization video, what is it, 2,700 and whatever it is, different combinations, then it shows you how to customize the buttons. And one of them is both mic 1 and mic 2 mute as an option. So you just need to do that as maybe either an assign, or you can do it as an actual button press. So it depends on what you want to do. So there we go. And I'm starting to lose the chat again. Sam, I'm really sorry I've missed your question. I really feel bad. Record into the loop that's only set up with a guitar. Yeah, you could do that. The other thing as well is, I forgot about that, you can actually change the input. You could change the input, so you can actually turn around and say, well, actually on loop number 3, which is this one, that is only going to receive the guitar. It's not going to receive both the microphone and the guitar, which is really clever because you don't have to have a button or anything, but then you've got to have a specific memory depending on what you're doing. Sorry for my waving foot there. But it depends on what you're doing. APT's in the house, Piers. Did you see that? APT's in the house. APT Music UK, good evening. How are we? How you doing? So we're just talking about basically how to mute a mic, but while you're playing a guitar. Now I play a couple of different songs that obviously do have a lot of chords in, but one thing is I just don't speak, and this microphone's really good at rear rejection. But you could have a memory which you say, that's your beat, beatboxy beat, whatever, that's your bass, and then that's going to be your chords or whatever. And then when you do your chords on that, this will not take in vocals. It'll only take in input number 2, for example. So that's a really good way of doing it. But the downside is you're going to have to pre-program that before the show and make sure you're on the right memory. Now, some people love having basically different memories for different things, and having the memory for one song and another song and another song and another song, and then they're all different. So it depends. And obviously that's up to you to remember that, and that's fine. Having said all of that, I mainly use only 3 memories when I'm doing a 2-hour show. Apart from if I drop Senyu Reason, that's a different memory. I don't really count that, but I normally use 3 different profiles, as it were, that have different button changes in different places. So it's up to you. I mean, yeah, you could do a multitude of ways. I think that's probably the best way, where you don't have to sort of program too much. You could do that. It would be quite cool. My light's just gone off. What is going on tonight? Guitar doesn't think plug charge me. Lights have gone off. I have paid the electric. So there we go. Sam. I'm still I'm scrolling through like a crazy man. I'm still trying to find Sam's question. So was it before? He's gone. Is he gone? Is he annoyed at me? Are you still there, Sam? It wasn't that one. Show me the exact sentence. Okay, I'm going to keep scrolling back. We're just going to... Can you... No, that was the first one. We are literally going to find this question because I feel like it's important to answer questions. That's the whole point of LoopLab. If I don't answer the question, what's the point? Please, can you play us some Ed Sheeran? I did that. Okay. Sam, can you retype it? I can't find what you said. Record into a loop that's only... Yeah, so Piers actually is a great answer. Record into a loop that's only set up to pull the guitar. And you can do that. So the way to do that is actually just by the routing. So if you go into the routing of each one, I'm not going to go deep into it now, but you can change the routing. I'll make a short video about it. And when I say a short video, I don't mean a YouTube short. I mean I'll make a couple of minutes video. I've tried to do that before. Tried to put everything into 60 seconds about the RC600, and you can hear me going, anyway, press this, and we're done. And it doesn't really work. But I'll do a couple of minute video about how we can actually change the routing. So thank you for that question. So we'll make a video about that. I will commit to that. So there we go. Don't apologise, by the way, if you miss a live stream. You're not in detention or anything. So there we go. Piers. I know Sheeran's loop is set up with a 1 vocal loop. Yep. 1 guitar only. Yep. And 1 with both inputs, at least. That's how he did it back when he was on the Roland. Yeah, and obviously with his actual infinity sign loopers, the sort of self-built ones, they're actually really simple. They're actually, if you drill into the people who make them, the software behind it, and stuff like that, the base of it is very simple actually. So loop 1 is beat. Loop 2 is his guitar, and it again it does the thing like that's only taking that input kind of thing, and you can see it written down like vocal, guitar, beat. His keys, I think the other one is he's got a keyboard, isn't he? That he doesn't actually play keys, he just plays each note in sequence, and they're all sampled in the right order. So he goes dun 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 dun. So he doesn't actually play it because that actually takes out any kind of mistake. You just play in you just press each key in order, and it's the right thing. Clever idea, but I think keyboardists aren't too happy. Right then, that's where I'm up to. Yes, I'm still here. Good, fantastic. great that the RC can do that routing setup. My RC50 can't do that. Oh, the 50. Oh, every time you tell me about the 50, I just could reminisce about the 50. Oh, it's lovely. Cool. Right. Ed used the Boss RC20. He did at the very beginning when he did, you know me, man, I don't need you. You need me, man, I don't need you. He did, and it did. There's an amazing video, if you can find it on YouTube, where he's live. He's surrounded by people, mainly girls, and he's just doing this one-man show, sort of like really close. It's really hot. It's really sweaty. The energy on that video is insane. And he's just going hell for leather, and you can see it's like it was when he was doing his first album. It's a fab show, it really is, and it's an actual that is like a quick class in how you do it with looping, it like live in the moment, raw, just throw it down, and it was really, really good. So there we go. Then the Chewy 2, the Chewy, yeah. So obviously now they have Sheeran Loopers, which is the company for Chewy 2. So we go. Right. Also, just GP out of the interest. What have I been doing today? Well, we did say ask me anything. So we have been playing with 2 different products, and one of them. For the people who are using the RC600, Piers, you might like this one. You may notice there's no power cable. I've got no power cable. Why is that? Everything's powered, but there's no power cable. There's a video coming out next week. That's an XLR cable. That's not a power cable, just an XLR. I keep telling everyone that obviously the last part of this pedal board was power. And I need power, but I want to take it another level. And everyone was telling me to go for the Strymon Zoomer, which is amazing, by the way. If you're looking for a pedal board, pedal distribution, power distribution, a pedal Zoomer, the Strymon Zoomer looks really, really cool. And I checked it out. Then I found something else, something that I think is possibly better. And I'm using it right now. So there we go. So this morning, I actually entered into a busking competition. So I went over to Liverpool to play in the street while they filmed me. And guess what? I messed the words up. Yeah! Literally just this guitar, no looper, no nothing, just playing in the street. And yeah, one song, which was, funnily enough, Tom Petty, and I messed the second verse up, but it doesn't matter. And then if you get through, get to play the Cavern in October, so we'll see what happens. Then I came home, fed the cats, played with something new. Can't talk to you about it. Played with something else new, and then made sure for the other thing that's new that's with this will be shown next week. It works, and I've been using it for a little while actually, and you can probably guess what it is, but but there we go. So yeah, that's my day. That's my day. There's been great videos where someone overlaid a graphic of his pedal on the video of his performance. It's all down to the same time loop. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, is that the video I'm talking about? Yeah, that's really, really cool. Nice. What we got here? If I was one of those engineers backstage triggering something, yes and no. So he does have an engineer, but I think the engineer is obviously sort of like pulling a couple of different bits up. But I don't think the engineer is doing the effects, and I don't think the engineer is doing the loops itself. I think every single loop is controlled in the sense of each loop has its own volume out, and you can do that on the RC600. I could actually have every single loop. So I could have all 6 loops on an individual mono output. And then I could have my vocal and the guitar going out on the equivalent of the headphone jack on output 7 and 8. So you could do that if you want and take that to a mixer, and you can mix your own track. You can do that with the RC505 Mark II. You can do that with the RC600. It's the same one. So you could do that. It'd be quite good. Sam says, can you play, You Need Me? No, I can't. I actually can't. I don't know how to play it. That'd be cool if I could. I've been tempted to learn it actually because it's a little bit almost like a throwback now. So it's quite cool to learn. Love the balls and you need... What? I read that completely wrong then. I need glasses. He builds it over the loop, yeah, and then wipes it halfway through and then just does it again. It's really good at that. You got the V-Lock battery under there. Nope. But he's on the right track. No, it's not the V-Lock. I have a question. 12 years old. Am I old enough to busk in Sheffield? Check out Sheffield Council. Ask them. There's people who busk in the street all the time. There's people who busk in Liverpool, and there's a young lad who busks, and he's a young lad, but his dad goes with him. So his dad actually sits next to his amp, which is cool. So yeah, I mean, obviously, you have to check out the local registration and regulations in your area for busking. It's up to you. We have 3 cats in the house, and they're from the same litter, and they're all as insane as each other. So yes, we have 3 cats. They're 3 family cats. Probably best to have an adult for you, definitely for security. Yeah, I think that's a very good point, Piers. Absolutely. Can't remember the song. It's one of the newer ones, but there's always a moment when Loop comes back in without Ed hitting a pedal. Now, this is what I do, and I did it just before. So let me show you this. I'm glad you asked. Welcome to LoopLab. So let me just go back into sort of like an equivalent. Hang on a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the guitars over, but because I haven't charged the wireless connector, I'm just going to plug this one into red. Hang on a sec. Now I do this a lot. And it's either, as you said, there's a sound engineer dropping it for him, or what's happening is he's got a volume pedal. And it's basically comes from, or stems from, it stems from basically being able to drop the beat on the, and this is why I've got the volume pedal as the volume of the loops, because what I need that to do is I need that to basically drop down. Now I can make my own fades with it. So if we can go, okay, so now I can use this pedal you got to get the timing right. Dun, 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 dun. And that's a really cool trick to do, because you can do fades, you can do your own fades if you want to. So this is a mini pedal, so it's better with a big full-size pedal, but bring it back in. The other reason why I have this as well is if I go into a venue or go into a pub and it's just too damn loud, it's bouncing off the walls, I can bring it down a bit here without affecting the main vocal and the main output here. So you can do that, which is quite good. Let's do that song. Yeah, that song, that's the one. So oh, you got two cats. that's just 2 loops, right? Drink coffee and take tea, my dear. Let my toast turn on one side. You can hear it in my accent when I talk. I'm an Englishman in New York. See me walking down Fifth Avenue, walking cane here at my side. Taking everywhere I want. I'm an Englishman in New York. Oh, I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York. Oh, I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York. Now, the reason why I've picked this song is because obviously there's a massive drum change after the solo. And by the way, my solo is normally making the trumpet noise, okay? So we've got this going up. Okay? So basically we've got this going up, okay? And then you've got the solo. And I put the high and low back on to give it like a big thumpy noise. And then in time, of course, I drop this out. And you go back in. And it's just a cool little thing to kind of, people go, oh, how's he going to boom, 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 and just actually bring it in like that sort of like big, like New York beat. So that is actually the reason why I started playing that song, is because I wanted to demonstrate the volume pedal, because I actually use that in the set. So I use that to just drop it out. And then what I do is I actually keep an eye on the big, big, big flashy circle there. And I'm just going poof, and in time with that, and it just takes a bit of practice to do that without hearing the track. You could maybe have it there a little bit, but then of course it depends on what you want to do. Now, of course, the only downside of this is whether you've got in the loop or not, where you are, and how many loops and how many bars you've got. You could just stop it. You could just obviously hit all start stop and then hit all start stop again. But as demonstrated in the sort of Ed Sheeran mashup one that I did, I drop it in and out all the time, and it's really useful for that. So that's why I have a volume pedal. Right then. Hi. This live stream, it's sponsored, and it's sponsored by our friends over at DistroKid. DistroKid is a music distribution company. If you give your songs over to them, they push them out to all the online stores, they push them out to Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Pandora. It has never been an easier time to distribute music, because instead of charging you every single time, they charge you one price per year, which starts at $22.99. Now, if you put that into consideration for a second, of course, I'm here in the UK, it's in dollars. It's about eight half decent coffees, and you can release as much music as you want for the entire year. So if you started now, you could release as much music as you wanted to till the end of basically, or middle of August next year. Think of all the songs you could do. So that code, that QR code, basically, that one just there in the corner, that's gone into the chat for both on Facebook and YouTube. By the way, we're streaming live on both Facebook and YouTube. If you can't find me on Facebook, it's on the Facebook page, which is John Paul Music UK. And of course, if you want to ask a question now, we can see the question on both. But thank you very much to DistroKid for sponsoring this live stream. And then the other thing as well is we are talking about I'll start again, shall I? Come on, JP. We are talking about looping. And another person who does looping is David Shannon. David Shannon has his loop masterclass at the end of the month. Amazing guy, amazing loop artist, amazing guitarist. And we want to help him out. We want to help him out all the way through August. So it's at the end of August. That's the QR code. It's $67. He's working really hard and writing this, and it's fantastic. So we've had a good chat about it. So I want to help him out with that. Obviously, help a fellow YouTuber musician out. So scan the QR code. And then if you can't make it at that time, you still get a link to the video after the event, so you can watch it at your leisure. And let me tell you right now, I've been talking to him about a little bit about the content, and some of it's gold. So I trust what David says. So I would happily do that. I'm going to try and be there the best I can, but it is midnight for me. So I'll try and be there in the audience as well. So if you want to obviously join us, then please scan the QR code and go over to David Shannon's YouTube channel and go and subscribe to him as well. He's got some fantastic tips. Right, let's go back to the CHAT. Let's have a quick look. Gotta go. Oh, Sam, gotta go, JP, but keep up the good work. Thank you, Sam. Thank you very much. Thank you for your questions as well. If you do have questions about looping, or if you obviously you're too afraid to ask, now's the time. Ask away. That's exactly what LoopLab is for. LoopLab Mondays is for either asking questions about looping, or asking about techniques, or asking about anything to do with looping. You can ask me anything you like, if you're honest. Just talked about my day. So you're welcome to do that as well. This first song I learnt on a loop pedal. Is it really? Oh. Englishman in New York's really nice, because it actually, the only thing, of course, is the part of modesty proprietary bit. Of course, you just turn the chords off on that. Or you could loop a second bit. I turn the chords off. So in that bit where obviously I've got that second loop there, I just turn the chords off and I play the right chords for that part, because it's only like 8 chords, and then you're back into the bit with the solo. So yeah, nice. Oh, that's nice. That's cool. Wicked. Hello. Your performance always sounds nicely balanced and mixed. What process did you go through to get your levels? Is the answer trust your ear? No. Well, sort of. So I've spent quite a bit of time on this, actually. I'm glad you brought this up, because what I do is I make sure there's a couple of different things going on. So if I was to just go boots and cats and boots and cats, that's BT boxing for those who don't know. It doesn't sound bad, it doesn't sound terrible, but with the TC Helicon, I'm using the high and the low voice, so I'm adding 2 more voices on, and now I go boots and cats and boots and cats. Can you hear the difference? So then that way, basically, if I go boot, cat, boot, cat, boot, cat, boot, cat. So there's a couple of different things going on there. There's a lower voice and a higher voice. So then the sort of snare noise, by the way, I breathe in for my snare noises, which apparently is really weird. So I go, so, and I go, if I go, for me it sounds too weak. And that's one thing. So when I'm using that effect goes in for that. I said it earlier I've said it in multiple live streams. When I set up the loop pedal, I always set up, make sure that the loops are just slightly lower than my own vocal and the guitar. So then even when I've got 1,000 loops going on, the guitar and me are louder. There's a max level that I won't go above with a looper, because then that way, it's like the backing track to me that I'm making live. So why would I want that to be louder than what I'm playing or what I'm singing? Because I'm the lead singer, don't you know? So there's that. I do put a little bit of EQ on the master out of the RC600. So I do have a little bit of an EQ on that, depending on what I'm doing. You're hearing it right now with basically two sort of like phono outs going to the audio interface of my computer, which is my Arturia, what's it called? The Fuse Studio. So I'm using that at the moment. I've also used the Gigcaster as well to do that as well. But I'm using that basically with a little bit of EQ on, and that's fine. And then all the other effects are either effects coming from the Boss itself, from the RC600, or effects that are coming from the TC Helicon. The TC Helicon on my voice does have things like compression, EQ, de-essing, which I really love. And I've spent a long time with things like SM58s, SM57s, betas, biodynamic mics and everything else. And I've settled on a £30 microphone from a Chinese company called Fifine. and it's fine. It's great. It's fine. I love it. And I'd endorse it if I could. I think it's a fabulous mic because not only is it 30 quid, and I've got 3 of them in case I break one, as opposed to a broken SM58, it's like 120 quid now. But also, I'll do this again. I did this earlier in the live stream. So if I talk here, I haven't changed the volume of my voice at all. If I talk over here, the rear rejection of this mic is just nuts. It's actually got a really small capsule inside. I've opened it up, and that's probably the reason why. But it's enough if I put my voice really low next to it, then it's great because in a pub, in a loud environment, it cuts out a lot of the noise. In terms of, obviously, mix and quality and things like that, I will play louder on the guitar. I will sing quieter when I'm doing harmonies, or I'll back off a little bit. And I've been looping for over 15 years. So it is trusting your ears in that sense, but it's also trusting your experience. So if I belt out the harmonies, and even if it's, it'll be ear-piercing, even though it is lower than me. So you have to mix yourself as you're recording the loop, as it were. You have to kind of listen and go, was that harmony, that's third, is that louder than the fifth, or is it lower than the fifth? And you're doing this in milliseconds. You're doing this all the time. You do this as musicians. Go, ooh, that bass is a bit loud, turn that down. So it depends on how you want it. And yes, I suppose at the end point is trust your ears, but I'm in my 40s now, my ears are going, so they're getting old. There we go. So I hope that sort of answers your question. I'll start that again. When I create a loop track for a song chorus part with the guitar chords, at the end of that loop, I have to tap for loop end. I have to change my guitar sound to bass, octave. Okay. Oh, there's a second part, hang on. So you basically, at the end of that, you loop end, change my guitar sound to the octave, yeah. I always miss the first bar with the bass sound. Any advice to solve this? Yeah, don't worry about it. Ooh, what have I just done? Don't worry about it. My advice is don't worry about it. I'm going to show you why, okay? Right, I'm going to show you, hang on a sec. Right, let me just quit this loop, and then what I'll do is I'll show you. Right, so let me just find a song that I'm going to play. Right, this is a really long song to loop, and I've looped this many times on different live streams, but it's a song by Elbow, which is One Day Like This. Don't tell me this one is dying as well. So that's like quite long. I haven't even finished it yet, right? So imagine going all the way around with that. So that's D, G, A, G. Imagine going all the way around again, but putting the bass dun, 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 dun. By the time you the last bit, and then you need to change like the sound if you're playing the bass, then all you do is miss out the first bit deliberately. Don't worry about it. Take your time, and then once you're ready, press your bass sound. That was press your bass sound, and then play it from the next bar in, okay? So don't worry about the first bar, and then you're already in overdub mode, and what you need to remember is overdub just happens. So at the end of the day, when you do overdub, it's just recording you no matter where you actually go into the loop. So if you do that, then what you're going to do is you're going to end recording the overdub of the bass with the first part. And I've done that many times. I've done that many times before where you just basically, and it goes, So I've just closed the loop off, put my bass on, and just bring it in, and that's fine. And then just, when you go back to the next circle, just add in the dun, 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 dun. And then you don't have to play because you've recorded that next bit in already, and that's in, and you've got now 3 bars for that to go around and prepare yourself for singing, putting your harmonies back, putting whatever back. So actually it could be the best thing ever because it gives you more time. So imagine if it's 4 chords. Sorry, I had an itchy knee. Imagine if it's 4 chords, and then you do, in your head, you do it where basically bar 1 and bar 2, you just get yourself ready for the bass, and then bar 3, you overdub the bass. You start with overdub the bass in bar 3, 4, 1, 2. Does that make sense? And then you've got the two bars left to put the bass, the octave back the way you want it, get yourself ready, relaxed, and then you just go into it. If that is not to your liking, however, the way you can do it, of course, is you could always prep it. So you could always have the bass pre-recorded if you want to do that at home. So you could have the beat and the bass pre-recorded and on a different track, and you play everything in, and then basically it just plays along with you. That's fine. The alternative you could do as well is, of course, you could change the way you play it, but I really wouldn't recommend that at all. I really wouldn't want to recommend changing the way you play just to fit a loop in. So there's lots of different ways to do it. Absolutely. So that's my advice. There you go. I hope that makes sort of sense. I've done it. I've done it before where I do the Meghan Trainor song, and I do it actually on that song. So I do it All About That Bass. So I do it on All About That Bass. I actually do it where I don't sing the first line of the bass, and I sing I think bar 3 of bar 4, bar 3 and 4, and then I bring it back in for bar 1. And don't you know I dun 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 dun, and then I've already sung bar 3 and 4 in, and then that gives me the time to go, because you know I'm all about that bass, because actually the beginning of the song of singing is before bar 1, beat 1. So I hope that makes sense to you anyway. In the song Riptide, do you know what? I was only playing around with Riptide today. That's funny. In the song Riptide, the first few bars of the second verse has a dropout, and the pedal would be ideal as you bring the loop back in at some point. Absolutely, yeah. How was I playing this? Can't remember now. But yes, you could do that, absolutely. So the great thing with the pedal, with the volume pedal, move this back over so you guys can see what the heck I'm talking about. I need like a keystroke, don't I? I need one of those live streamy deck things. If people want to get me stuff, you can always go to my Throne page. There's stuff on there if you want to support. I've just realised that, I didn't charge these at all, did I? So let's get a real cable, shall I? And I'll charge them next time for the live stream. Hang on. Even though I've got all this like wireless stuff, of course, it is good to remember to charge stuff, but also it's good to have the spares in the bag just in case something goes terribly wrong, like now. And this is why I don't like cables, because as I'm talking to you now, I'm frantically trying to unravel one. I hate cables. If I could do everything wireless, I would. Hence, we going all the way over to Copenhagen just to see a wireless PA system, which is fabulous. You have to understand it. You have to take your time to go, oh, right, so the effects are actually in that module. That's it. I don't need to do anything. That's great. Now, obviously, for loopers, it's a different thing, but imagine if they had a looper module built in. That'd be so cool. Oh, look, a cable. It works. It's good, isn't it? We're only as good as the last charge. That's Riptide, isn't it? So I'd put the beat down like that. don't know all the words, so I'm mumbling. That's why you can't hear me singing all the words again. So yeah, so you could do it like that. This is a different, you notice it says shivers up, maybe on a TC Helicon. This is a different one I have. So if I sing lower, this is a really high pitched song for me to sing. So if I go, it's basically an octave higher as opposed to like the bass sound. So yeah, if you got your timing really right, you could actually do that where you bring it out, or you could just actually, if you've got both tracks going, let me just bring that back again. There we go. Let's do that. If I've got both tracks going, in the chorus, and you can just bring out the bass and just stop the kick drum loop, as it were, the rhythm loop. You could do it like that, and obviously just drop it out, drop it back in. So yeah, because you've got more than one track, more than one loop, you can obviously mix it in that certain way. And I've said this before, it totally depends on whether you want to do, sorry, let me bring that back up. It totally depends if you want to do a part where you could actually, while you've got that guitar part going, you could have a, you've got to loop that in, it takes time. And then I didn't even put a bass line in on that yet. I could put a bass line in, and then you just have the guitar and the bass line going without the drums for the dropout, as it were. And then, of course, for the big crescendo, you just bring it all back in. Do it that way. But you could drop it out with the volume pedal, but you've got to get your timing right on that, because if it drops out for a long time, you start swaying in and out of the BPM, unless you've got a click track going in your ear, and you can do that with the RC600. You can send a click track out on a separate channel so the audience can't hear it. So if you've got things like in-ear monitoring, you could do that. John Wynn does that. He has like in-ear monitoring, and he has it where basically he can have stuff going to his ears that the audience doesn't hear, so that's a very clever idea as well. So there we go. Not just the start of it. There we go, yeah, absolutely. Do you ever route a line out to your DAW, splitting the vocals so you can process them? And yes, inside the DAW. So do you mean do that live, like on a live stream? Which I don't. I do everything as if I'm at a gig, and I just plug in. But yes, you can do. You can route this with the RC600. You can route every input to any output, if that makes sense. So any input and any output you can route. So you could do that. As you can see at the top of the screen there are two golden plugs. They're actually the TC, they're the FS7 and the thing, but next door to them over there is the main out, just the stereo out for this. And that's how I gig, mainly. But yes, you could route out to a DAW, splitting it. And the way you do that as well is you don't even need to use the outs. You could do that by USB. So in the USB, the nice little advantage in the Boss RC600 and the 505 Mark II is they have a nice little bonus, as I should say, is the USB is USB-B. Everything needs to go to USB-C in my opinion, but there we go. But it's USB-B, and then it's set to what's called generic mode. And generic mode means it gives you a stereo out left and right via USB. Put it into vendor mode, and then you suddenly have an 8-in, 8-out audio interface for using the looper. And you can put the loops on every single on different parts of the out. So that's really, really clever. So really, really nice thing. Now, Pierce is pretty good with MIDI controlling and Loopy Pro and all that kind of stuff. So if the Octaverse MIDI controller, you could obviously set up and down, up on MC8 or something similar, and then turn the Octaver on. You could do that really quickly, absolutely, no problem at all. Or if you trust your loopers built in Octave, then set it up as that's what you could do. Now the thing is, what I do is I actually have changed one of the buttons. So this button here, which is undo redo, is my bass. And I always use a bass. So I've got a bass which is called Barry Wise on the TC Helicon, which is more humanistic. And then I've just changed that. So on the very first page, all I've got to do is boop, press that, because I'm always going to need it. So I might as well have put it on the first page. I can undo and redo every single track individually. So I don't need that undo redo personally for my own setup. So I've changed it. It became a bit of a blank pedal. I could have used it as a mic mute. I could have used it as anything else, but I use it as a bass. So I actually turn the track effect bass on there. And that's very, very quick for me, very easy to use. So I hope that makes sense. I have no built-in Octave and it also no MIDI controller. Ah, the lovely the actual Boss OC, lovely, nice. Is that a 5? The OC5. If you speak to David Shannon, of course, funnily enough, he has 2 basses. He has the OC3 and the OC5 and uses them in 2 different ways. Go and check his channel out and have a look. That should be intriguing enough for you to go and have a look at it. It'll be really cool. Thanks, JP. Sorry, should have said your and not your. That's fine. That's okay. Don't worry. We're all friends. Do you have a loop with the RC600 where only specific inputs like guitar, keys, drums go into specific loop tracks? What are the pros and cons? That's a great, great question. Thank you for that, Brandon. That's fantastic. So, yes, there are ways you can do this where what you can do is you can actually have it so the guitar is going in, of course, on an input, and the vocals going in on an input, and that's all fine. And that goes through the sound system of the RC600, but then that's how it normally works. And then the looping part of that is drop that in on certain tracks. Now, I've got it set up so actually it goes into every track all the time, no problem. But you can do that. So let's just say, for example, I wanted to actually play a song and I wanted to record the guitar looping whilst I'm singing the first verse. You could do that. So you can actually set it so on track 1, we've got basically record guitar only, but don't record anything else. And that's a fantastic option. The downside of that is you'd have to set that per memory. Okay, so if you're doing something different every memory, if you're always doing that the same, then you could have that on the same memory and just use the same memory for like 2 hours. That's fine. But if you are doing things on different memories, you'd have to basically set it on one memory, but then it wouldn't be on the other. Have you remembered to do that? What if you press it and it's not the right one? So you have to mentally remember that. Almost like remembering like more than just a set list, like what's in your set list in the sense of the routing. Having said all that, of course, if you are doing it enough times and you do it like clockwork, you'll be fine. So yeah, the pros are that it will speed up your loops because you don't have to like play an entire like for example, where's it gone? Where are you? I've gone past it. The elbow song. So the elbow song, One Day Like This. So One Day Like This, of course, it's... And that's nice anyway, it's a lovely intro, right? But I've got to put a beat down before this. And then I've got to go all the way around again and then put the bass down. So what you could do, of course, is you could have it on a certain track that you go, drinking in the morning sun. What you're actually doing is you're recording the guitar, blinking in the morning sun, shaking off a heavy one. Yeah, heavy like a loaded gun. And then it would go in then, and you could just carry on singing, what made me behave that way, la 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 la. You could do things like that. So that's a really clever way of using the looper and using the routing of the inputs for the loops, but not for the output of the PA. Does that make sense? As I say, the major downside would be using a different memory. So you'd have to set up a different memory, but so what? I mean, that's a great idea. If you know what that memory is and you've got that set up, you could do that, absolutely. It seems folks in the Loopy Pro world are doing that often. They are, because what you can do in the mixer side is you can tell the mixer what loops to go into or not. So each input can have its own. I think it's really emphasized in Loopy Pro and really obvious in Loopy Pro that you can go, I don't want this vocal to go into that loop. I don't want this synthesizer to go into that loop. So it makes it more, the mixer on Loopy Pro is fab, and it shows you really easily where the routing is. However, someone who does use Loopy Pro, Pierce, I don't. But only because I have a single input channel, but there we go. So that it depends what you're doing. Nice version, JP. Oh, you're welcome. Riptide. Well, I've been playing around with it, funnily enough, because I was trying to find a way of getting it like sort of, like upbeat and stuff, but make sure it's quick. And that's kind of like the thing of it. So, yeah. Matt and Soph do a boot. Oh, they do. Yeah. So Matt and Soph do a fantastic version. If you don't know Matt and Soph are, they are The Distance. We did an interview with them on How Do You Loop. They are a Northwest UK band, a duo, loop duo. Still my favourite with them is they did Basement Jaxx Red Alert. Oh yeah, go check that out. It's fab. But they do a good version of Riptide as well, absolutely. What's this? What? Heck, just as an 808 audio interface came out, the 606. The RC600 is good value. It is, because also at the same time, it's 32-bit. So the sound you're listening to, you sound about, who was it who was saying about the sound and the mixing and everything? It was Richie, wasn't it? Was it Richie? No, it wasn't Richie. Who was it? No, it was Brendan. Brendan was saying about like the sound and the audio and stuff. It sounds really clear and stuff. Well, the other thing as well is that the RC600 is a 32-bit machine. Now, why is that important? Well, it's actually important because when you start looping things, you start looping multiple stuff, then it starts like compressing down. If you're using, and I'm sorry to say this, an RC50 or an RC300 or an RC20XL at 16-bit, it starts squeezing all that information down. 32-bit has much more headroom to actually give you the quality. And it really, really does shine through. It does. I noticed it most when I was using the RC300 for a while, and then I used the Headrush looper board for a while. And then I went from the Headrush looper board over to the RC600. And I was doing a little bit of a bigger gig on a bigger stage, which is very nice, and it's very nice to do. And that's when you really notice it, when it's going through a big PA. If you're going through a little sort of monitor speaker or a little sort of amp, it's okay, it's no problem, or even my PA system. But if you go through a big rig, like you can hear like that kick without it being compressed, and it really does make a difference. It also makes a massive difference when you're doing recording. So of course, if you want to record your set, or you want to record your stuff, then you can do that, and that's exactly what we did. So Pierce was actually there that day when we actually did this, which is the live unrehearsed Looping My Brain. So much so that Pierce's Dinner is actually one of the songs. And we just basically did it with the RC505 Mark II. And then we actually released this album out. That album is out there on YouTube, it's actually on YouTube, on Spotify and Apple Music and Pandora and all those different places, because I actually distribute it through DistroKid, which leads me nicely onto this live stream. It's sponsored by a friend or a DistroKid, and that's how I do it. So I actually took the live stream. I chopped it up, I took all the talking out and had just had the songs. We did this thing where I didn't have a plan, and then people were putting stuff in the chat, and we made songs up. And then I took those songs and then made that album, and that album is now out there. So you can do that as well. So we have a QR code, which I'm desperately trying to find, there it is, where you can actually scan that and get a year's worth of uploads for $22.99 and 7% off that. So that's gone into the chat. It's also gone into the script. It's in the description box as well. And they sponsor this live stream, which I'm really grateful for. So you can release as much music as you want to. So when it comes to the reason genuinely why I'm talking about that, and thank you for DistroKid for sponsoring this live stream, but the reason why I'm talking about that is because when you get to things like the RC505, the RC600, they're 32-bit machines, and the quality is there. and you can actually out the quality to a digital audio workstation really, really nicely for things like that. So there we go. Right, now. It's definitely gone now. 32-bit 9600 is streets ahead of the 300, especially through a Boss PA, etc. It is, it's the quality is just insane, and you don't realize until you've done like an A/B test and you've played and you're like, oh wow, like you can hear everything. And that shines through the USB. It shines through the analog connections, through obviously the jacks as well. But it's when you actually it's processing the audio. And you add effects on from either external or the effects that are internal. Remember that all the effects internally in this board obviously are processed at a 32-bit ADDA conversion. So what that means to you is a really high quality effect, which is really cool. Even if there's a distortion, it still sounds amazing, at that point. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to leave it there. And thank you very much for joining the live stream this evening. We've had a lot of questions, and that's what we want. So if you're now watching this on the replay and you've gone through and gone, goodness me, what time is it? And you've forgotten to ask a question, or you've got a question, or you're not sure, put it underneath in the comment section of this live stream. For everyone who's watching live and for everyone who's watching on the replay, first of all, thank you. But also, there's a like button at the bottom, if you don't mind giving that a like, and that really helps the channel out. As I said to you at the beginning, thank you so much for everyone who has subscribed. We hit 20,000 people on Thursday. It's such a big milestone for me, and it's just a big thing for me to go, oh my God, 20,000 people. So thank you for that as well. And we're going to continue doing LoopLab Mondays for as long as I can. So if you do have a question, or if you've got a question in the middle of the week, throw it into obviously one of the live streams comments, and that also I will be monitoring that closely. And then we can obviously have a look at that, and that's cool. Ah, you wreck. Truly appreciate you sharing your knowledge and talent. You're welcome. It's all right. The fact is, I know this sounds cheesy. I've said it before. I believe a rising tide lifts all ships. I'm not one of these people who's like, you can only listen to me. Go and listen to David Shannon, go and listen to Carl Walkner, go and listen to me, go and listen to Emily McVicker, go and listen to The Distance, go and listen to all these different people, because they're all independent people, and it's one of those things that you're helping everyone. When you listen to a track, you don't go, that's me done for the day, you're going to listen to something else. So go and listen to all their music, and obviously go and look at all their information. If you like what I've said, then obviously take it, sponge it up, and use it. That's great. And if you do have any questions, obviously, after the live stream, then pop them in the comments section underneath. Matt Bolton. Now I need to speak to Matt. So there's a couple of people. If you're not familiar, by the way, we do a podcast. It's now a podcast. It wasn't just an interview series, but it's now a video podcast, which is called How Do You Loop? I've even got T-shirts. They're just over there. And you can buy those T-shirts as well. And there's a couple of people I want for the next series, and Matt Bolton is one person I need to speak to. So Matt, there's a couple of other people as well. And then if we get as high as interviewing Katie Tunstall and Ed Sheeran, then so be it. That'd be really nice. But thank you very much for listening to the live stream. Thank you for your comments and questions. And if you do have questions afterwards, pop it in the comments section underneath this live stream. And I'll try and answer it, or we'll put it on next week's live stream. And then we are going to now make a video about different routing for different guitar and different instruments, because that's what people want, and that helps me make videos. Right, on that note, I'm going to leave you with it. Have a lovely evening. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening from. This is JP. This is LoopLab Mondays. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
passing day. Off the train, down the alleyway. Headphones in and music on. Sun is setting, 1 minute on. Did you just walk past me? Did I see your goofy smile? Did I see that face that I haven't seen for a long, long while? I know I'm tired and you're not really here anymore. I know I'm trying